Amazing heartwarming story, how a black janitor discovered hidden symptoms and saved a CEO's life. Jacob's hands glided over the polished floor of the high-rise office building, the sun reflecting off the glass panels like stars in the night sky. At just 28, he was a janitor, but to him, every swipe of the mop was a testament to perseverance. This wasn't just a job, it was a lifeline for his single mother and younger siblings back in their cramped apartment on the south side. Each dollar he earned felt like a victory, a step closer to lifting them out of their struggles. One afternoon, while emptying the trash in a sleek office adorned with modern art, Jacob caught snippets of hushed conversations swirling around the office. The name Alex floated through the air, the powerful CEO of a tech giant revered by colleagues yet burdened by an invisible weight. Jacob noticed Alex's once sparkling demeanor had dimmed, replaced by furrowed brows and moments of frustration that echoed like distant thunder. Rumors of a mysterious illness sparked a knot of concern in Jacob's stomach. How could someone so powerful be brought low by something unseen? Amid the bustle of corporate life, Jacob continued his work, but his mind lingered on Alex's decline. No matter the distance between their worlds, he couldn't ignore the feeling that compassion was required here. He observed Alex misplacing his office keys one too many times, the red flush of embarrassment when he snapped at a well-meaning assistant. Jacob's heart ached not for pity but for the knowledge that every person, no matter their rank, faces battles that others can't see. As fate would have it, chaos erupted one fateful afternoon. An emergency evacuation blared from the intercoms, startling everyone in the building. Panic surged as employees scrambled for safety, but Jacob's instincts kicked in. With courage fueling his every step, he shouted for calm, directing terrified workers toward the nearest exits. Even in the clamor, his heart raced with anxiety. How would they see him? Just a janitor, yet he was the one guiding them out of chaos. In that chaos, he noticed Alex struggling amid the throng. The mask of composure had slipped, revealing vulnerability that felt all too human. Jacob stepped forward, approaching Alex when everyone else fled. "Sir, are you okay?" he asked, brows knitted with concern. Alex paused, his expression a mix of disbelief and desperation. I'm fine," he stammered, but the tremor in his voice told another story. Jacob could feel the weight of shame pressing down on Alex's shoulders, and at that moment, he couldn't hold back any longer. "Please," Jacob said, "I've noticed things. It's okay to be afraid. Just talk to me." His voice was steady, his heart racing as he opened his soul to this man who had everything yet seemed to be missing the most important thing: support. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." In a breathless moment, their eyes met, a bridge forming where wealth and humility entwined. Jacob spoke openly about family values, about the importance of facing one's demons together. As Alex listened, Jacob felt walls shatter around them, understanding washing over him in something akin to relief. But just as hope flickered between them, the weight of Alex's health condition loomed larger than life. A mere whisper of impending doom hung over their budding connection. Would it be enough to go beyond their differences, to unlock a path toward healing, or had they stepped into peril without a safety net? The air vibrated with uncertainty, leaving both men hanging in the balance, longing for redemption but fearing the depth of their situation. The scene faded, yet their eyes spoke volumes, leaving readers on the edge, waiting to discover if this crossing of paths would lead to a miracle of connection or the peril of lost potential. Would Jacob's courage illuminate Alex's darkness, or would they both find themselves lost in the shadows forever? Jacob could hardly believe the moment they shared a simple connection forged amidst urgency, hope intertwining with despair. The emergency lights flickered, casting eerie shadows, and in those dim flickers, he could see Alex wrestling with his thoughts. "Maybe I can help," Jacob suggested, the words spilling out almost instinctively. "You don't have to go through this alone." The sincerity in his voice felt like a lifeline. It was perhaps more than he could offer, more than he expected to say, but seeing Alex in such distress drew something out of him, a desire to fight against isolation. Alex looked vulnerable, a world away from the CEO everyone idolized. "I don't even know what's wrong with me," he admitted, his voice breaking slightly. The barriers that marked their worlds began to fade. "Then let us figure it out together," Jacob replied. Each word felt like a promise, a bond forming under the weight of uncertainty. He wasn't just a janitor now, he was a confidant, a partner in the battle unfolding within Alex's mind and body. They made their way outside as the last of the employees evacuated the building. With the bright emergency lights still twinkling, Alex took a deep breath of the night air. It was fresh and somehow grounding. "I don't want to seem weak," he murmured, a bitter edge to his words. "Everyone has their moments," Jacob replied, glancing around. "You're human, just like the rest of us." That honesty hung between them, pulsing with a shared understanding. The scene quieted, employees milling about outside in clusters, their chatter muted as the reality of the situation settled in. Emergency crews arrived, and the spectacle of flashing lights illuminated their surroundings. "I can't believe I didn't notice what I was going through," Alex confided, his eyes distant. "I thought I was just pushing through, being tough. That's what a lot of people think," Jacob said. "Sometimes it's easier to pretend everything's fine. But you don't have to be strong all the time. Look at me. I'm here, I'm a janitor, but I've got strength in my family and love. And that's what gets me through." Alex shifted at the mention of Jacob's family, a depth of vulnerability creeping back. "You care so deeply for them," he said softly. "What would they think of someone like me?" Jacob's heart softened. "They see you as a person. Not a CEO, not a title. Just a man who needs a little help. And there's courage in reaching out." They found a quiet bench just outside the building, the emergency echo of sirens fading behind them. It felt sanctuary-like, a place to breathe. "Talk to me," Jacob urged, sensing the chaos in Alex's breath. The shadows of doubt loomed, but he wanted to push through. "What's going on?" "You can be honest." With hesitation, Alex began to spill emotions he'd bottled up for too long. He recounted sleepless nights, the gnawing pressure of responsibilities, and how he felt like he was drowning in expectation. With every word, Jacob listened, offering a warm nod or a gentle touch of reassurance. Suddenly, Alex looked at him with newfound clarity, almost as if an epiphany sparked to life behind his eyes. "I've been so focused on the company, I forgot to take care of myself. Maybe it's time to go to a doctor." Hope ignited in Jacob's heart. "That's a start," he encouraged. The world around them felt brighter. But just as relief washed over them, someone from the crowd called out. "Alex! We need to talk." The tension surged back. Alex's face closed, the weight of his title crashing in again. Would he pull away now? Jacob held his breath, waiting to see if the connection they had built would shatter in an instant. "Don't you dare back down," Jacob finally whispered, locking eyes with him. "You've got this." As Alex's gaze lingered, uncertainty was layered with the thin thread of hope. What would happen next? Would he choose the path of vulnerability, or fall back into the armor of his title? In that moment, the air crackled with possibility, leaving both men to wonder if they could take the same brave step forward once more. Alex's eyes darted over to the voice calling him. It was Mark, his assistant, striding toward them with urgency etched on his face. "Alex," he repeated, breathless. "We need to debrief about the situation. The press is going to want a statement." The words hung heavy in the air, pulling at the fraying edges of the moment they had shared. Jacob watched as Alex's posture shifted, the weight of his title slouching back onto his shoulders like a heavy cloak. The shimmer of hope dimmed, and it felt as if that gentle spark they had ignited together was being snuffed out. "Just give me a moment," Alex said, his voice firm yet quivering. The resolve was there, but the fragile layers encompassing his vulnerability began to crack. "Now is not the time for this, Mark," Jacob interjected, surprising himself with his boldness. He just needs some space." Mark looked taken aback, glancing between them. "I just thought what?" Jacob shot back, stepping closer, the urgency of his own emotions rising like a tide. "That he should put on a brave face and pretend like everything's fine. He's not just a CEO right now. He's a person, just like the rest of us. Don't you see that?" Alex's eyes flickered, caught between gratitude for Jacob's defense and the weight of his responsibilities pulling him back. Jacob felt the swirl of uncertainty again, but he refused to step away. Mark blinked, taken aback. "Fine. I'll give you 2 a sec." He backed off, but Jacob could sense his misunderstanding, his confusion in the way he strode away. Once they were alone again, the tension shifted. Alex took a steadying breath, the desperation spilling back into his eyes. "I'm sorry," he began, but Jacob shook his head, silencing him. "Don't apologize. You're dealing with a lot. Just focus on what you need right now." Alex leaned back against the bench, his hands trembling slightly. "I want to be honest with you, Jacob. I don't even know what to say. I've built this life, this persona of toughness, but I feel like a fraud. Like I've been living in a mask for so long, I can't even recognize who I am anymore. And the moment I think about reaching out for help," his voice broke, the stark vulnerability flooding back. "I feel like I'm just going to shatter." Jacob felt a rush of empathy washing over him. "You're not a fraud, Alex. You're human. It's okay to feel lost. If anything, admitting to it shows strength." "I've spent so long convincing everyone I'm invincible," Alex confessed, tears pricking at his eyes. "But deep down it's like I'm just tired of fighting. I want to cry, scream, I just don't know how to." Jacob nodded, feeling the weight of his words. "Then let it out. We all have our battles. Being strong doesn't mean never feeling weak. It's about knowing when to lean on someone else." The sirens in the distance faded, leaving an enveloping silence. Alex's gaze met Jacob's, a flicker of vulnerability illuminating his features. "You're right. Maybe it's time to be real. I want to talk to a doctor, get this sorted out, and maybe I want to keep talking to you, too." Jacob's heart soared, warmth blooming in his chest. "Anytime. I'm here. You're not alone, remember." As relief flickered in Alex's eyes, tension knotted in Jacob's stomach. He was acutely aware of the moment hanging between them, the fragile beginnings of a friendship that could shatter or grow beyond what either had imagined. Just then, Mark reappeared, all business. "Alex. We need to wrap this up. The board is worried." He eyed Jacob warily. "Let us go." Alex hesitated, caught between duty and desire. Jacob held his breath, sensing the choice Alex was facing. Would he walk back into the cold expectation of his role or take a step towards something genuine? With all the courage he could muster, Alex took a deep breath, meeting Jacob's gaze. "I'll be right there," he said, his voice steady with newfound conviction. He looked back at Jacob, a small smile breaking through the tension. "Can we talk later? After the chaos?" "Absolutely," Jacob replied, relief flooding over him as he watched Alex nod. As Alex walked away, the gap between them seemed filled with promise. Jacob knew this wasn't over, it was just beginning. What would happen when their worlds collided again? Would Alex take that brave leap or retreat into the shadows? Jacob couldn't shake the feeling that the next choice would be monumental. Jacob sat on the bench, watching Alex walk away. The air felt charged, heavy with unsaid words and expectations. He replayed the moments they had just shared, feeling a mix of hope and worry. It was like watching the tide pull back, revealing treasures buried in the sand, but knowing the wave could crash down at any moment, sweeping it all away. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the adrenaline still buzzing through his veins. This was still a company, after all, where performance reigned supreme, and vulnerabilities were seen as weaknesses. He could almost hear the distant sounds of agreement from the boardroom claims of needing strength and resolve. But they didn't realize that true strength sometimes lay in the willingness to admit when you were struggling. Mark returned, his demeanor a stark contrast to the emotional gravity they had just shared. "What was that about?" he asked, searching Jacob's face for answers. "Alex is human, Mark. He needs support," Jacob said, anger bubbling just beneath the surface. "He is not just a corporate machine." Mark crossed his arms, his expression still tinged with confusion. "Support is great, but he has obligations. The board won't wait indefinitely for him to deal with some emotional crisis." Jacob's heart raced at Mark's dismissive attitude. "You don't get it. This isn't just about work. It's about a person who has been pushed to the edge. He might crack if we don't help him now." Mark frowned, shifting his gaze away. "I hope you know what you're doing. Alex's life doesn't stop because he is having a rough moment." Jacob shook his head. This was more than just a moment. It was a tipping point, a crossroads. It made him think about his own life, the times he had to choose between what was easy and what was right. "I can't just stand by." "I won't," Jacob said quietly. "I care about what happens to him." Mark let out a resigned sigh. "Just don't get too involved. This is a complicated world." The words hung heavy between them. Jacob wanted to argue, to point out that real connection is what makes people brave, but he chose silence instead. He felt as if time was slipping away. As evening settled in, Jacob found himself wandering the office. Light spilled from the glass walls, illuminating empty desks. He walked through the maze of cubicles, lost in thought until he reached the conference room where the board meeting was being held. They spoke in hushed tones, discussing quarterly results and forecasts as if nothing else mattered. He peered through the glass door just in time to see Alex. He stood tall, commanding the room with a confident presence. But underneath the bravado, Jacob saw the slightest tremor in Alex's hand as he flipped through his notes. The flicker of uncertainty painted an entirely different picture than the one the room saw. And in that moment, everything clicked. This was not just about Alex. His struggle resonated with everyone who had ever felt the pressure to hide their true selves, to wear masks crafted by society's expectations. Jacob felt a rush of determination. He would be there for Alex, opening that door to authenticity together. There was power in sharing vulnerability, it connected people in a way that corporate ladders never could. Later, Jacob headed for the exit, feeling a sense of urgency pull at him. He needed to find Alex again. He had to know that he wasn't alone in this. As he stepped outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple. His phone buzzed. A message from Alex flashed across the screen. "Can we talk now?" Jacob's heart raced at the invitation. This was the moment they both needed. He quickly typed back, "I'm on my way." As he made his way back, the weight of anticipation bore down on him. What would Alex say? Would he embrace this newfound path toward authenticity? He couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would change everything. But would it be for the better? Jacob hurried down the quiet street, his pulse quickening with each step. The cool air chilled his skin, but the warmth in his chest kept him moving. The glow from the street lamps bathed the sidewalk in soft light, and he could see his breath misting in the air, a reminder of just how real everything was. This was the moment to bridge the gap. He spotted Alex sitting alone on a bench in the small park across from the office. His shoulders slumped, and the emptiness of the space around him echoed the weight of what he must be feeling. Jacob felt a wave of empathy sweep over him. He had seen that look before, the haunted stare of someone shouldering burdens no one else could see. "Hey," Jacob called out, his voice breaking the stillness. Alex looked up, surprise momentarily eclipsing his troubled expression. Jacob. The way Alex said his name hinted at relief but also a hint of vulnerability. It was the delicacy between hope and fear. As Jacob took a seat next to him, the bench creaked under their combined weight. He exhaled deeply, unsure where to begin. I got your message. I thought we could talk, he offered gently. Alex nodded, running a hand through his hair. I didn't want to interrupt your work. That's not what this is about, Jacob replied, his voice firmer. Alex, you're not just a CEO to me. You're a person who's carrying so much. A flicker of something crossed Alex's face. Was it sadness, relief, or both? Jacob held his gaze, wanting to convey his unwavering support. You don't have to go through this alone. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. I've been trying to hold everything together, Alex admitted, his voice low. But it's like I'm drowning, and every decision feels heavier than the last. I just keep pushing through, thinking it will all work out. Jacob felt a pang in his heart. He had seen Alex's strength, his unyielding determination in the boardroom. But behind that polish was a person who deserved to be seen and understood. It's okay to say you need help, he urged. Reaching out doesn't make you weak. Alex's eyes glistened as he turned them toward the ground. For a moment, silence hung heavily between them, the night air charged with the weight of unspoken fears. I don't want to let people down, Alex finally said. What if I'm not strong enough? You already are, Jacob countered softly. But no one can carry everything alone. Letting others in shows true courage. As the words settled in the space around them, Jacob saw a spark ignite in Alex's eyes. A glimmer of something that hinted at new possibilities. Maybe vulnerability could lead to healing after all. They sat together, the world around them fading into distant sounds as they began to share their stories, heartbeats syncing with a newfound understanding. Jacob felt lighter with each revelation, each shared laugh and painful confession peeling back layers of isolation. But just as the atmosphere shifted toward warmth and connection, Jacob noticed a figure in the distance, a janitor, cleaning the park. The man was older, his movements slow yet steady. Jacob recognized him from the office building, often working late, always a friendly smile amidst the chaos of corporate life. Suddenly, the janitor's gaze landed on Alex. Their eyes locked for a moment, and Jacob sensed something profound passing between them. He couldn't decipher it, but the older man seemed to radiate a deep, knowing energy. What is going on? Jacob asked, curious about the connection he just witnessed. Alex shook his head, a small smile tugging at his lips. I don't know, but there is something familiar. Like he understands for me or maybe even for everyone. In that moment, a question loomed in the air. What secrets did this janitor hold that could unravel deeper truths about Alex's struggles? As they continued their conversation, Jacob felt a creeping sense of urgency. He could tell that something significant was brewing, not just for Alex, but for everyone in the building they shared. And just like that, Jacob made a decision that might change everything. What if he talked to the janitor, too? What if his hidden wisdom could untangle the knots they were all trying to work through? In a world of high stakes, perhaps true strength lay not just in power but in the connections they made in unexpected places. As the night deepened, Jacob's heart raced at the thought of what truth might be uncovered next. Would seeking out that hidden knowledge bring them closer than they ever anticipated? The soft rustle of the leaves filled the air as the park settled into a calm hush. Alex and Jacob sat together, the warmth of their shared confidences slowly knitting a fragile bond. But the spark of curiosity about the janitor lingered like a bright flame ready to ignite something more. Do you think he can help? Jacob ventured, glancing back at the older man still tending to his work. The janitor moved gracefully despite his age, seemingly at peace in his routine yet always observing the world around him. Alex sighed, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. I don't know. There is something about him. He feels like one of those hidden gems. The person no one pays attention to, yet they know so much. What if he does? Jacob pressed, leaning in slightly. What if he holds the key to something we can't see? You know, sometimes people have insights that we overlook. Alex chuckled lightly, shaking his head. A janitor? What could he possibly know about the pressures of being a CEO? But even as he said it, Jacob saw a flicker of interest in his eyes. Why not find out? Jacob challenged gently, feeling a warmth in his chest. There's no harm in asking. You'd be surprised at the wisdom that comes from unexpected places. With a reluctant smile, Alex nodded. All right, let us see what he has to say. But you're coming with me. Together, they slowly made their way toward the janitor, who continued to sweep fallen leaves with an air of quiet dignity. Jacob could feel the air thick with possibility, each step forward echoing the heartbeat of their collective tension. Excuse me, Alex said, his voice uncertain but determined. The janitor looked up, his eyes friendly and warm, as if he had been expecting them. Evening, gentlemen. How can I help you? Came the deep, soothing voice. We noticed you were working late, Alex began, emotions bubbling just under the surface. I think there is something special about you, and we wanted to ask if you might have a moment to talk. The janitor studied them for a beat, a soft smile spreading across his face. Sure, I've got time. What's on your mind? Jacob felt the intensity of the moment wash over him. He had no expectations but sensed that perhaps vulnerability could become a doorway instead of a wall. What do you do when everything feels overwhelming? Alex asked, and the question held a raw edge that revealed the depths of his struggle. With wisdom etched into the lines on his face, the janitor leaned against his broom, eyes sparkling with understanding. You step back. Sometimes, you have to look at the bigger picture. Everyone thinks strength is about carrying everything alone, but true strength is knowing when you need to lean on others. Everybody has something to offer, even if they don't wear a title. Jacob watched as Alex absorbed the words. It was a moment of soft revelation, an opening they had been searching for amidst their pain. And what if you're scared? Alex asked, a hint of vulnerability breaking through his carefully constructed exterior. Fear is natural, the janitor replied gently. But you can't let it paralyze you. Talk about it. Share it. You'll find there are many who will stand with you. That's where the healing begins. Jacob felt a pulse of recognition in that statement, a reminder of everything he had just discussed with Alex. It was all connecting. They were not alone in this. With each revelation, they were weaving a community, stitching together their fragmented stories. Wow, Alex murmured, voice thick with emotion. I never thought of it that way. As the conversation unfolded, Jacob couldn't help but marvel at how this exchange felt sacred, as if they were digging deeper into something precious. But just as the air became charged with newfound hope, the janitor glanced over his shoulder and frowned. You two should think about what I just said. Life has a way of bringing us to our knees if we don't deal with our burdens. The weight of his words hung heavily, and the gravity of unspoken fears filled the space between them. Jacob exchanged looks with Alex, a shared understanding passed silently between them. Is this what the answer was, or is there more? Jacob thought, suddenly aware that the unraveling threads of their journey had only just begun. Do you really think? Alex started, but before he could finish, the janitor held up a hand. I see people every day, he said. But what you two are facing is a path that many avoid. I can help you if you're willing. Hope surged inside Jacob, the thrill of connection electrifying him. The possibility of healing, of true transformation, was within reach. As they stood together in that quiet park, their hearts raced at the thought of what lay ahead. Was this the turning point they had been searching for, or just another step on a much longer journey? Alex looked into the janitor's eyes, feeling a warmth that was both thrilling and terrifying. What do you mean by help? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The janitor straightened up, his broom pausing mid-sweep. Sometimes, the wounds we carry are deeper than we realize. They come from expectations, regrets, and the unspoken fears we tuck away. If you're open, I can guide you through it. But it requires honesty and courage. Jacob felt a rush of energy course through him. It was strange, standing there in a park, trusting a man in worn-out clothes who carried a broom. Yet, something about the janitor's demeanor felt right. "I think we could use that," he admitted, glancing at Alex. "What do you think?" Alex nodded slowly, his initial hesitation fading. "I just want to understand what we're dealing with." He took a deep breath, the evening air filling his lungs. "We've felt lost for a long time." The janitor nodded knowingly. "Everyone carries burdens, but not everyone finds the strength to share them. What's hidden in your hearts will weigh you down until it's released." Jacob felt a lump in his throat. "I'm scared," he confessed. The admission felt liberating, almost like opening a bottle of soda that had been shaken too long. Alex fidgeted slightly, his gaze dropping to the ground. "Me too," he echoed, the sound of his voice surprising even him. The janitor smiled softly, as if he had heard this confession many times before. "That's the first step. Acknowledging your fears is the most difficult part. To talk about it takes bravery, but it's the gateway to transformation." "What do we have to do?" Jacob asked, a part of him needing to leap into the unknown, while another part clung to safety. "We sit together," the janitor said, gesturing to a nearby bench. "And you tell me what's on your mind. You start with what's been weighing you down. I'll listen and share what I know. Together, we'll create a space to unravel these burdens." In the fading light, Jacob could see the sincerity in the janitor's expression. He shared a glance with Alex, and there was a silent agreement between them. They didn't need to carry their stories alone anymore. As they settled onto the bench, the twilight wrapped around them, softening the stillness of the park. Jacob started to talk about his struggles, how expectations felt like chains that kept him anchored in fear. Alex followed, sharing snippets of his own pressure-filled life, the loneliness that came with success, and the fear of losing everything he had built. The janitor listened attentively, nodding along, his eyes reflecting empathy rather than judgment. "You see," he said after a moment, "the world may pressure you to wear a mask of success, but it's in the cracks of vulnerability that you allow others to see the real you." A gentle breeze whispered through the trees, and Jacob felt a sense of levity with every word shared. It was as if the leaves themselves were shedding their weight. Alex wiped away a stray tear, and the janitor offered a reassuring smile. "It takes time, but understanding comes with openness. You're already on the right path." Silence settled between them, a quiet space filled with realization. The burdens felt lighter somehow, and for the first time, hope wove itself into their conversation. But as night approached, an unfamiliar tension shifted in the air. It was almost as if something was awaiting them, just around the corner. "What do we do now?" Jacob finally asked, curiosity edging into his voice. The janitor leaned in, a glint of mischief in his eye. "Now, we dig deeper. You've cracked open the door. Are you ready to step through?" Jacob's heart raced again, but this time it felt electrifying. They had started this journey and there was no turning back now. What other secrets waited to be uncovered within them? And could this wisdom truly lead them to the transformation they sought? Jacob glanced at Alex, his heart pounding. "What does that mean? Dig deeper?" The janitor smiled knowingly, the creases in his face deepening. "It means exploring the things you've hidden, the fears that keep you from living fully. We can't just scratch the surface, we have to peel back the layers." Alex shifted on the bench, the weight of uncertainty pressing down. "But what if it hurts? What if we find something we can't deal with? Then you face it together. Remember," the janitor said, "you don't have to face anything alone anymore." Jacob inhaled deeply, the cool evening air filling his lungs again. He had been holding on to his worries for so long. What harm could it do to share? Okay. I'll start, he said, his voice steadying with determination. I never fit into the mold of what everyone expected me to be, Jacob began, his words tumbling out. I've always been the overachiever, the one everyone relied on. But inside, I feel like I'm crumbling. Every time I achieve something, it just seems to raise the bar even higher. I'm scared that one day, I'll fall short. The janitor nodded, his face tranquil, encouraging Jacob to continue. Tears prickled at the corners of Jacob's eyes. I don't even know who I am anymore. It's like I wear this mask that everyone loves, but when I'm alone, I just feel so empty. Alex sighed, his shoulders slumping. I get that. We're in this whirlwind of expectations, and it never stops. I've got this dream life, but every day, it feels like I'm just trying to keep it all together. There are times when I think, what if I lose it all? The janitor leaned forward, compassion radiating from him. You're both so focused on what others think and lose sight of what you truly want. It's okay to not be okay. The first step toward transformation is to embrace that authenticity. Authenticity, Jacob whispered, the word hanging in the air like a sudden dawn breaking through the shadows. Yeah. Alex smiled weakly, hope poking through his despair. But how do we even begin? If we've been living for everyone else, how do we find ourselves again? The janitor placed his hand on the bench between them, as if creating a bridge of understanding. You've already taken the first steps. You've opened up. Now, look at each other. Ask yourselves, what truly matters to you? What do you want beyond the weight of expectations? Jacob felt a pull toward Alex. This was their moment. Excitement danced through him, eclipsing the fear that had once paralyzed him. I want to be free, he confessed, a surprising clarity filling his voice. Free from others' opinions. To create my own story. The janitor's eyes sparkled. Yes. And you, Alex? I want to live life on my own terms, Alex said, his face lighting up with renewed energy. I want to take risks without constantly worrying about failure. I want to find joy in every little moment. As they shared these dreams, the darkness that had once clung to their hearts began to lift. Tension evaporated, replaced by a buoyant rush of possibility. Perfect. The janitor beamed, the warmth of his approval flowing over them. Now, if you're both truly ready, there's another layer to peel back. What do you mean another layer? Jacob asked, his voice tinged with both excitement and apprehension. The janitor stood, a glint in his eye. Let us uncover the past that brought you here. Sometimes, the real freedom lies hidden in your history. Are you prepared to share the stories you've kept buried? The question hung in the air, echoing the heartbeat of the night. Could they be brave enough to face their pasts and the truths lurking within? As Jacob looked at Alex, a flicker of determination ignited between them. They were in this together now. Yeah, Jacob finally said, fire lighting in his belly. Let us do it. With a nod, the janitor smiled. The journey was just beginning, and the real revelations were still ahead. What were those buried truths waiting to be unleashed? What would they discover about themselves and each other in the process? The air crackled with a mix of fear and anticipation as Jacob and Alex exchanged a glance, their unspoken resolve solidifying in the shared silence. The janitor's presence felt almost magnetic, urging them forward into the uncharted territory of their pasts. All right, Alex said, his voice steady but soft. I'll go first. He leaned back slightly on the bench, closing his eyes as if searching his memory for the right words. I grew up with this idea that I needed to be perfect, you know. My parents had high expectations. A shadow passed over his face, the memories clearly painful. When I didn't meet those expectations, I felt like a failure. It was like I was constantly walking on eggshells, trying to make them proud. Jacob listened closely, picturing little Alex, trying to bear the weight of those dreams. He felt a surge of empathy, knowing he had battled expectations of his own. Alex swallowed hard, his emotions raw. The worst part? I never felt like I could talk to anyone about it. I just bottled it up, convinced I had to handle it alone. Sometimes I find myself staring at my reflection, wondering if the person looking back is even me. I mean, who am I if I'm not living up to their dreams? The janitor nodded, his expression hardening with understanding. You're more than the expectations others place on you. You have your own story to tell. Jacob felt the fire of courage building in him. I'm inspired by your honesty, man. I guess I've been haunted by my own struggles. He took a deep breath, a rush of vulnerability flowing through him. Growing up, my dad used to tell me that being successful meant providing for the family. There wasn't a second to breathe or enjoy the journey. It was always about the next milestone, the next achievement. The janitor watched them with a gentle intensity, guiding them toward deeper truths. Jacob continued, feeling the weight lighten as his words flowed. He loved me, I know that. But I didn't want to be the son who didn't live up to his dreams. So I pushed myself so hard that I lost myself. I chased perfection like it was a racing car, and all I got was exhaustion in the end. A moment of silence enveloped them. Jacob's heart raced, a blend of fear and catharsis washing over him. He could feel the air shift, the pain transforming alongside their shared truths. What if we've both been looking at this wrong? Alex said softly, a new light sparking in his eyes. What if we're not meant to fit into those molds? What if we're supposed to create our own paths completely? Exactly, the janitor chimed in. It's time to strip away what others expect and embrace what you truly desire. Rediscover who you are without the masks. Jacob felt something in him crack open, hope flooding in. I want to know what it's like to embrace imperfection, to find joy in the struggles just like the successes. Alex nodded enthusiastically, the realization brightening his expression. And maybe it's okay to fail too. Maybe failure is just another step in a bigger journey. The janitor relished their revelations. Now, remember that moment of clarity you just experienced. Hold on to it. Look at your pasts and find the lessons woven in there. There's strength in your stories. With renewed determination, Jacob turned to Alex. Together, we can face whatever else is waiting for us. Let us keep peeling back these layers. Yeah, Alex added, excitement bubbling in his voice. I want to do this. Let us uncover everything. As they braced themselves for the next step, the air thick with possibility, the janitor smiled knowingly, sensing the change blossoming between them. But just as they were about to dive deeper into their stories, a loud crash echoed through the hall, breaking the charged atmosphere. What was that? Jacob whispered, suddenly alert, the urgency of the moment shifting once again. They all turned toward the noise, hearts pounding. What lay behind that unexpected sound? Would it lead them to yet another discovery, or was it a challenge they had to face head-on? The sudden crash echoed in the stillness, jarring Jacob and Alex from their moment of emotional catharsis. They exchanged worried glances, and the janitor's calm demeanor didn't waver. Life has a way of handing you unexpected challenges, he soothed. Let us see what awaits us. Gathering their courage, they moved toward the source of the noise, their hearts thumping with uncertainty. Just a few steps away, they found a toppled park bench and a scattering of scattered trash and debris, evidence of a hurried, careless moment. Oh no! An anxious voice called from nearby. It was a young woman, flustered and attempting to pick up the litter. Her eyes darted around, visibly upset. As she caught sight of Alex, her expression shifted quickly. It was evident she recognized him. I'm so sorry, Mr. Spencer. I didn't mean to cause such a mess. The realization hit Jacob and Alex simultaneously, the weight of the world seeming to crush back down at that very moment. It was a reminder of the demanding expectations that loomed large, waiting to pounce at every turn. It's all right, Alex replied, his voice gentler than they'd heard in the boardroom. "Let me help you." He knelt down with her, picking up stray papers and plastic wrappers, and to Jacob's surprise, a small smile began to form on his face. The young woman hesitated before continuing. "I just wanted to finish my work before the meeting, but I've been so stressed with deadlines and my own worries." The janitor stepped forward, joining the cleanup. "It's easy to lose balance when life gets rocky," he spoke softly, the depth of his understanding wrapping around them all. "Just remember, it's okay to ask for help. You are not alone." Jacob watched the trio, Alex, the young woman, and the janitor, all working together towards something positive. It felt like a beautiful metaphor for life, weaving their stories together in a tapestry of shared struggles. "I always thought I had to manage everything myself," the young woman admitted, a hint of vulnerability creeping into her voice. Alex stood up, brushing off his hands. "We can't carry all the burdens ourselves. I've learned that today. It requires a village, a support system, friends and colleagues who understand what you're going through." Jacob felt a swell of pride for Alex. He had transformed in front of his eyes, the CEO finding space to be human. As the bench was restored, the young woman's gratefulness radiated from her. "Thank you, Mr. Spencer. I appreciate this. It's just sometimes things feel overwhelming, and I worry I'm not doing enough." "You are more than enough," Jacob chimed in, eager to lift her spirits. "And asking for help makes you stronger, not weaker." The young woman smiled, her demeanor brightening like the sun breaking through clouds. "Thank you. That really means a lot." The janitor observed quietly, the wisdom of experience shining in his eyes. "You see, connection brings weight to dreams. Every time you reach out, you're forging bonds that help you rise." The three of them stood in that moment, basking in a warmth of support and understanding. As they finished tidying, Jacob's heart brimmed with fulfillment. They had turned a chaotic moment into an opportunity for connection and healing. Eventually, as the sun dipped lower and the park transformed into a dusky glow, Alex turned to Jacob, the significance of everything they'd been through washing over him. "I can't believe how this turned out. It's been one chaotic day, but it taught me what matters. I can reach in the dark, but I don't have to shine alone." "Yes," Jacob replied, feeling an electric excitement run through him. "We can't just let expectations drown us anymore." The janitor nodded approvingly. "You've taken steps back, discovered layers of your hearts, and now seek authenticity. Truth and bonding connect us all. Remember this moment." With a newfound purpose, they faced each other again, hearts swelled with renewed hope. Jacob felt the corners of his lips curve up, aware he had made a friend in Alex. And Alex, the mighty CEO, stood taller, ready to carve a path with courage for himself and those around him. Their journey had just begun, but it was promising. They were bound to throw stones into the still waters of uncertainty, creating ripples of change in their lives. "Thank you," Alex whispered to Jacob as they moved together toward the flickering streetlights lining the path home. "For everything. I feel transformed." Together, Jacob reinforced, his heart swelling with pride. This is just the beginning. As they walked away from the park, the air buzzed with possibility, the weight of their newly shared understanding igniting a spark within. The world was still there, with its pressures, but now they had learned that they could face it together. This strength blossomed from vulnerability, and Jacob realized they had found a partnership that empowered them to grow, both in life and in friendship. The stars began to twinkle above, signaling a brighter journey ahead. In that moment, they were surrounded by the limitless possibilities that came with embracing the unknown, daring to believe in their transformation. And as the cool breeze swept through the park, they stepped forward together. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel and be part of this incredible journey, so you don't miss any exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love for these heartwarming transformations. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful transformation. You need to show your support.